Celtics point guard Kenny Anderson grew up in New York City, where he used to root for one of his favorite Knicks, Bernard King. Now, Kenny takes a look back in Retro NBA. During his 14-year career, Bernard King was one of the most prolific scorers in the NBA, winning the scoring title in 1985 as a member of the New York Knicks. A four-time All-Star, this Brooklyn native inspired another New York City product, point guard Kenny Anderson.
Well, you know, growing up in New York City at a young age, probably about 14 years old, you know, everybody's talking about Bernard King and the Knicks. I remember on the back of the Daily News, they had a Texas massacre where he just torched San Antonio and Dallas for like 50 back-to-back.
Bernard looking for 50, and he's got it. And we have seen consecutive remarkable efforts by Bernard King.
I remember Marv Albert doing a lot of the Knicks games, and all you hear, you know, is a gorgeous move by Bernard King. Again.
Beautiful move by Bernard. Bernard King once again. Again for King, yes, and it counts.
You know, he was just a very big part of all basketball players throughout New York, in the playgrounds, in high school, what have you. My brother told me some of the high school stories when Bernard King was in high school, and how he was so publicized in college.
Take special note of Bernard King from New York, and now home on the University of Tennessee campus.
And my mother even knew some, you know, about, you know, Bernard King, not even a player, but just the aura he brought to New York.
King's transition from the sidewalks of Brooklyn was remarkably smooth. Picked as Player of the Year in the Southeastern Conference, King wound up the season as the highest scorer in Tennessee basketball history.
I think for all New York players, the determination, the hard work to accomplish what he accomplished is just great.
Here comes Bernard. Bernard doesn't need much of an opening.
You know, he didn't do anything but put the ball in the basket. And to do that night in, night out is very difficult. And he was doing it, you know, with double teams, triple teams, and all kind of defenses.
To Bernard King. Put the shot up, it counts. Has he missed the shot?
I don't think so.
But Bernard King is just punishing everybody in his way.
When Bernard King gets his hands on the ball, he is unstoppable.
That was a real big part of his game face, his focus. He was like that throughout the whole, I guess, three and a half hours of his preparation for the game before he would go out on the floor. He was like that. You know, I'm about my job, I'm about my business, and that's how I go about it. I think, you know, if you play in New York, in the playgrounds, you kind of like all the players that play in New York have that kind of same attitude, same focus, that hard-nosed, competitive edge.
Beautiful play, Kenny Anderson.
Is that nice? Is that nice or what?
That is a point guard that knows how to run the fast break.
You know, it would have been great just playing with a guy like that my whole career. It would have been absolutely awesome, you know, drop the ball in the low post. And when he runs the floor, he's a great finisher. He had great hands, so if he got the ball in the lane, it was an assist, it was 2 points.
What a break. That's vintage Bernard King.
He played with me in New Jersey, and that was real interesting for me. You know, here goes this legend, you know, and I'm at that time, I think I'm second year, third year in the league, and he comes in the locker room, and it's like, wow, you know, Bernard King. And my brother was like, man, you know who you playing with? You know, you playing with Bernard King. I wanted to speak to him, but I really didn't know what to say, so I just kept my mouth shut. It was like, wow, it's a great feeling for me. It's like, man, I made it. I arrived in the NBA, and I'm also playing with, you know, one of the greatest players of all time. Came out of New York City.